Hello everybody and welcome along to the third running of the flagship GT3 Masters series from RRLeagues. Today we're here at Slovakia ring for the first race. Very technical track, so they've got their work out today. You can see the cars are already on the track for qualifying. Up in the commentary box, my name is Martin Hughes, and as always my esteemed colleague, well I say esteemed, it's only because he has all the knowledge and basically gets me through everything that I do while I ramble on, is Ethan Keeley. Good afternoon, good evening, Ethan.
Yeah, we'll go with the evening today, shall we? Yeah, hello Martin, how are you doing, mate?
People are watching, I guess, this evening
Oh,
somewhere,
absolutely.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, sure. Yeah, as you said, nice complex track, this one. Little under 6 kilometres for the drivers today. As usual, we've got our visual flags and cut track set to drive through penalties. Nice interesting pit speed limit here as well, 60 kilometres an hour. A bit slower than the drivers are used to and very much slower than what they'll be doing out on track, I assure you.
It's like a really flat track. There's not really many like features on it, is it? I think it's just built on a really flat surface, and the only inclines on it are where it's like man-made hills, so they've got tunnels going underneath, so they've access roads. It's quite a featureless track.
It creates a really interesting feature, because I believe it's between turns 4 and 5-ish. I'll look it up in just a second. There's actually like a little tabletop, almost like you'd expect from a motocross circuit, and actually kind of going over that, and then you break down into what's between turns 2 and 3, and then you break down into turn 3 on the downhill, and it's actually really jarring because of the steepness, and then you have got that flat top to it.
Yeah, because basically you go straight into turn 1, which is like a, I don't know, about 110 degree right-hander, into turn 2, which is about 110 degree right-hander, into turn 3, which is 180 degree right-hander. So literally for the first, well, it says sector, but it's a good portion of the track. You're literally on the left-hand side of the car all the way around, leaning on that corner. So tyres could come into play here today. They could find themselves at that left front being very warm, and the right side of the car being very cold, at least for that first sector.
Yeah, it's actually really weird. There's 14 turns here, and they're equal, so you'd imagine both would wear out fairly together-ish. But like you said, you've got turn 1, which is right-handed and fast. You've got a fast turn 2. Turn 3 obviously is a massive hairpin. Turn 6 again is kind of an ever decreasing radius corner, ever tightening. That's a right-hander as well. And then obviously turn 13, the long corner before you go through 14 onto the front stretch, is another long right-hander that just keeps tightening. So actually you've got 5 corners there, which are all right-handers, which really put strain on that front left tyre. You have got turn 9 and turn 10, which will give the left hand some love, but a lot of the left-handers are slower corners around here.
Yeah, I was going to say, literally, for the first half of the lap, you're on your left-hand tyre, then you've got about 3 or 4 corners in your right-hand tyre again, and you're back on the left again, and it's going to punish the tyres today, so it should be interesting how they get round. I mean, the optimal strategy, I take it, is, I mean, it's a 100-minute race, so is it 50-50, coming at 50 minutes?
Generally, GT3 cars will do an hour on tyres and fuel. Most cars, most tracks. So I'd expect them to go the hour, because you generally lose less through tyre wear than you gain through the fuel coming out. So obviously there will be a cliff, and in race room it tends to be when the little tyre indicator that you can have on your HUD does the lovely flashy thing at about 20% tyre wear, as in 20% remaining. And they'll probably pit about then, which I imagine will be somewhere between 60 to 63 minutes. They have got to compete.
Sorry, just watching a relay. He's got a purple first sector, and he's just coming through the second sector as well. So we'll just see if he can purple that one as well. Quickest time so far today, 5 minutes in, is Mike Stoffmill. Sector 2, he's about 2/10 down there, which is nothing to be ashamed of with Stoffmill in the field.
Oh, absolutely not. We do expect...
Oh, he's lost it.
He's
lost it.
We do expect Ralph to do well here. We saw him obviously in the 4 hours of Zolder, wrestling the BMW M6 around that track. A bit nicer for them here today with the M6. Not quite so many tight, nasty chicanes going on. But we expect him and his teammate Robert Horvath to be very strong. Horvath currently in. He's not on my timing thing. Can you see him somewhere?
Right, Robert Horvath.
He's currently. He's there.
Is he in the
No, he's
circle?
not there, is he?
I don't think he's in the circle.
No,
yet, mate, to
I
be
don't
fair.
think he is there. But we're expecting them to do well. Team 77, as they are, always go well in this GT3 championship. Both go well in GT3s. They're going to be strong for sure. And in one of your favourite liveries, Martin, as we found out at Zolder 4 hours, the golf livery.
As long as there's no red Mercs, mate, I'm fine. Red Mercs and green Ferraris, and I quit. I'll throw the microphone in right now.
Well, you don't want to have a too close a look at Jim Britton's car. Jim Britton, the voice of crew chief as he is. We're very honoured that he decides to mess about with us on occasion.
Gonna say the actual man behind crew chief races here with RRLeagues, so you know, like you said, we are quite lucky in that respect.
Yeah, absolutely, and he does a tremendous amount of work, obviously behind the scenes on that, and we are very, very grateful to the insight that he gives us.
I think every sim racer must have crew chief installed on their machine, so it just shows you and with that he spins it in front of us.
Of course he does. But yeah,
he's a good programmer. He may not be a good driver, but he's a good programmer.
Well, actually, you banned from using crew chief.
Well,
a good driver.
There you go.
But yeah, that McLaren in the red, looking decidedly Ferrari-esque. So maybe that'll be your.
I like that. Oh, look, the race room gravel has got him. Let's leave him to his pain. We'll go to somebody else. We've got Jack Camaletto here. There we go. Nice anniversary car. That's a nice car. Look at that.
It is a nice car. There was a lot of intrigue going into this event. For those of you that are familiar with race room, you'll know this. But obviously, there was a massive update in December. Oh no, Jack, you've stacked it. And the old gen GT3 cars, as they were, the Bentley, the SLS, the McLarens, a couple of others, were massively off the pace, like half a second a lap off the pace. They're doing a bit better now. They reckon it's a couple of tenths. If you're the right kind of guy that you can squeeze out of the new gens. So maybe not as hobbling as it could have been 3 or 4 months ago, but definitely the SLS, not the favoured Mercedes around here. As you can see by only, I think there's 3 people driving it. Paradigm Shift with Mr. Camaletto and his teammates, who I've promptly forgotten the name of course. Are you going to save me on that one?
Sorry, I'm busy
Nigel Wood.
looking at the camera. Yeah, it's Nigel, isn't it, today? Nigel, not today, for the series.
And I believe Peter Hindle is the other SLS.
Yes, I believe you're correct. In fact, I'm going to have a look at Peter now. There he
Yes,
is in the
I was
rather
right.
sexy green Paradigm Shift. That's lovely, that is, isn't it? If that was part of my front drive, I'd quite like that. Not that I've got two, I haven't got a rear drive and a front drive, I've only got the one drive, but if it was part of my front drive, it would be lovely.
It's worth pointing out, for those of you that aren't familiar, the team names that we've got here, they are ripped from what the drivers use on the race room leaderboards. So for this, on the race room leaderboards, if you look at Peter Hindle, will be listed as Paradigm Shift. There is no way to import the team names for this series into this. So he is not racing for Paradigm Shift, but he's very much affiliated to that stable.
Of course.
And I would be unsurprised if there was not some setup knowledge going on there.
Yeah, I think Peter's in a privateer this year. I think he's just racing by himself, isn't he? So
He is racing.
but
he is
from
racing
the Paradigm Shift stable, as you like.
We can see behind him on track another person who's decided to brave it. Alexander.
Sexy GT3.
Yeah, it is the 4GT3.
Sorry, a Ford GT rather.
Yeah, 4GT GT3. It's really easy. I don't know why you're struggling. Um,
Like I said,
As-
you've got all the knowledge, mate. I'm just here for the ride.
yeah, sadly, the car that's not raced anymore, I believe, entered in 2013, and Mark VDS pulled it out of competition after the 2015 ADAC series, if I remember rightly. There isn't a whole lot similar beyond the name and the general body shape to the current GTE car. That is a whole different ball game. Apparently doesn't like the curbs, this one. So that won't be so much of an issue around here. Big flat curves for the drivers to use and abuse. But it might be a bit of a concern at some of the other tracks we are going to.
So just a quick rundown of the current standings in qualifying. You can see them on the left hand side there with about just under 8 minutes to go. So Mike Stoffmiller, the star of the show as normal, is half a second out in front at the moment. David Dorr in second. Clive Britton up there in third in the BMW. Ralph Ferrella, Greg Metcalf 6/10 and a second behind respectively. And then there's a second covering down to 15th here with Rick Binnersley. So there's a lot to change in here, but the top 10 in this kind of field, I mean, it's a quality field anyway. I mean, the guys near the back are not bad drivers. It's just the guys at the front are just very good drivers.
Oh, absolutely. And like we were saying in the Zolder transmission a couple of weeks ago now, you know, the level at RRLeagues at the moment is so good that some of us have resigned ourselves to commentary duties. And some of these guys, frankly, 6 months ago, you wouldn't have, like Clive, particularly when he joined the circus, probably wouldn't have ever dreamed of being P3 in a GT3 race. But actually, over the last kind of year, he's really upped his game. The general level in RRLeagues has improved, and frankly, some people have been left napping, and some of them have really stepped up to it. And it's really impressive.
I'm not the best driver in the world, as you probably know. And since I've come along and joined the guys here at RRLeagues, I've found that my quality has gone up to a point where I'm still near the back of this field, but actually if I go into like an open lobby or a serve like that, I don't realise just how much I've improved with racing with quality drivers. So if you are watching this and you haven't been along to RRLeagues, you're thinking, oh god, these guys are quick. Honestly, it's the best thing you can do. Running at the back of the pack with some really quick guys, you can watch lines, you can follow them through corners, you can understand where they're braking. It's such a help to how to drive and how to get the best out of some of these cars. And if you're watching this and you're a quick driver and you're not involved with RRLeagues, come and get involved, because honestly, this is I mean, yeah, we're a bit biased, but I'm pretty sure this is about the pinnacle of where you're going to get to in sim racing. You know, obviously we've got the proper esports leagues. You know, we're not there, but this is quality driving, even though they are just.
You say we're not there, but we have had some of our guys competing in obviously esports events. That's perfect time for you to do a spin there, Glastonbury. Perfect.
Your stream must be a bit behind, mate, because that happened about 5-10 seconds ago to me. Which one you?
Yeah. The stream is a little bit back, and obviously I'm watching on the stream, as well as keeping an eye on other things that are going on around the track.
Okay.
But yeah, what was I going to say? Thanks, mate.
Sorry.
Never mind.
I'll bail you out.
Our very own Robert Horvath, who clearly isn't here after all of that earlier, he took part in a Formula E event about 3 or 4 years ago now, alongside the pros. Did very well for himself, and actually you'll see some of our top guys won't compete in the esports events on principle, not because they think they're slow, they know they're not slow, but you get better racing here. And that's the thing, is you've got kind of the speed of esports with, you know, the kind of respect of real racing, and that is one of the things that's amazing about RRLeagues. Yes, we have systems in place.
I've got to say, I know Stoffmiller was driven in some of the really big leagues that we've seen while lockdown was on. So when all the big drivers dropped into esports, you know, Stoffmiller was in there, and you know, some of these drivers are competing with Stoffmiller. So it just shows this is, you know, not quite the pinnacle, but it's certainly not, you know, it's not second tier. We're right up there with the best of them here. So what you're watching today is quality stuff. We're just watching Stoffmill in the stealthy Corvette there. I don't know why he's got it. I mean, I love the Mac Corvette. It's just so, I don't know, stealthy, I guess.
It was when the C7 was brought to race room. Callaway Corvette wanted it shown off in the carbon livery. If you
Okay.
can't find that in your game, you can't find it in the normal online store. However, if you go to the store through the game, you can find the carbon livery there. It was, like I say, it was a special edition done by or requested by Callaway Corvette, which is why you can only buy it through the in-game store and not through the main store.
Stoffmill's time came up with 1:57.1 there, but it's not been registered, so unless that was an invalid lap, which I find hard to believe. He's still top of the tables at 1:57.3 or 2:81. But unless it was a time in there on the screen, I don't know. I think Raceroom picks out your best sectors and then puts them together for a time, doesn't it? But it doesn't actually give you the top lap time. So he went purple in, I think, all 3 sectors and still didn't update his time, so never mind.
What it does is it will keep showing the time until the end of the sector that you invalidate the time. So it might be that he's invalidated the time through sector 3 and therefore it hasn't been counted because it would still show the time then.
So he's 400ths down in sector 1 here. He's just going to come to the end of sector 2.
Just watching Ralph Varello across the line. Yeah, must have been on an outlap because he doesn't seem like he's improved there at all. No, must have just been an outlap for Ralph that time.
Sector, almost a minute. In fact, it's over a minute long. He's 600ths down, so he's there or thereabouts. This could be a new fastest lap for Stoffmill. We'll just stay with him to the end of the lap to see if he can pull one out of the bag here. Round another right-hander.
This is that one that I was on about where it keeps just tightening. Pit entry is actually on the left there, where the driver will fire in at some point during the race.
Classman's a 1:57.0 there, but again it hasn't updated his time. I wonder what that's about.
Well, we'll get a full leaderboard at the end of qualifying anyway, so we'll see if it.
Yeah, I mean the time's on the left-hand side of the screen there for you, so you can see where we're going.
Oh, it was slightly faster. It was a 57.230. As Ralph Varello has actually just gone purple through the first sector.
Yeah. So you can see, as you say, Stoffmill, like one of the top drivers out there, but Ralph. Wow, we finished already. That was quick.
Always is.
That was immensely quick. There we go. There's your qualifying positions. Stoffmill, Dorr, Britton, Arella, Metcalf, Manojlovic. Petr Pek down in P7 with Simon Fillingham on row 4, Vlasti Lucas and Jan Moorman on row 5. Visage Jacoli and Nigel Wood, Andre Mol, Fabian Geld, Martin Kennans out there in the BMW just in front of Simok Zapatini. Rick Binnersley in the Mercedes down there in 17, just in front of Sven Heck in the not liveried up, the stealthy Corvette there in 18th, David Kokorek in 19th, Camaletto in 20th, Dmitriev, there we go, it's gone. So the drivers are now just got 50 odd seconds left to go before they take the grid. They'll be just going through their fuel settings for the car. As Ethan said earlier, most of these drivers will be filling up with a fairly full tank just to see if they can go long if need be. 60 minutes into the race. And then pitting. There is one mandatory pit stop today they have to make, and they have to take 2 tyres. And they'll need fuel as well at that point, I take it, won't they?
Yeah, they'll need fuel. They need to take, like you say, they need to take 2 tyres. Philosophy is you are unwise in race room at the moment if you take 2, because of the way it splits the tyres, it splits them front back.
Yes,
I've
suffered from that before.
Yeah, we had a GT1 and GT4 league where some of the GT4s thought they'd be clever and do it, me amongst them in the first race. And yes, it did not go well.
So here we go. They'll do one formation lap. I think, is it a full formation lap they do?
It will be a full formation lap, yeah. So they'll set off, slowly, waiting for the car ahead to go to move on. Mike will keep them at about 130 kilometers an hour. Round to the kink onto the back straight, where sector 2 finishes. There he will slow down to about 80 kilometers an hour. And we'll form back up into double file. We then double file all the way through to where the acceleration zone starts, which I'm not actually sure where that is. It's normally somewhere behind the back of the grid. And then it's one smooth acceleration from wherever you want. After that, up until the start-finish line. Anywhere in that, the leader can go. Obviously, one smooth movement. You're not allowed to stop and start and stop and start. What we will see is we will see passing left and right. The rule is you are not allowed to pass the car directly in front of you in the queue you are in. So if you are P8, you can pass P9, P7, P5 as much as you want, as long as you don't pass P6. Obviously, we want nice, tight grouping. We saw in the ACC race, they have like a little widget that helps them manage this. No such thing in race room. We trust the drivers to do this properly, and most of them here have done this a number of times now, so I don't imagine it'll be much of an issue. And those,
for those
that haven't done it,
seen
they'll learn quickly.
Our ACC series, it's basically the same thing. They'll go around in single file, and as they come to the end of the lap, they'll form up in double file. And then it's literally down to the leader between the acceleration zone to pick a point where he wants to lead the field off, and away they go. Just looking there at the Golf liveried Mercedes AMG of Ralph Arella. Second on the grid. Second on the grid there behind Stoffmeal. David Dorr there in the Merc with the yellow stripe, with Greg Metcalf just behind him. Clive Britton in between them in the BMW, that rather fancy turquoise and blue BMW. Further down the field, there's Mike White in the Spark Bentley, looking rather sexy.
It is a good looking car, that one.
Take that down Chelsea High Street, down the High Road Ride, a nice time down there. So just coming around for the start, here we go. So as you can see, they are forming up into 2x2s. Stoffmeal there on the left, Arella on the right. They'll come round to the start finish straight, and then it's up to Stoffmeal then to decide when he's going to push the go pedal. And when he does that, all hell breaks loose. So we'll just stay with these front.
Ralph keeping him very honest there, running right at the limit. Right,
and as we said,
door.
the first three corners on this track are right. So Stoffmeal is going to be on the outside for all those corners. So David Dorr's got a chance, and Ralph Arella's got a better chance just in front of him to hold that inside line. So anyway, there we go. They're underway. Stoffmeal comes to turn one. Got a good start there. Good start. Start from from David Dorr. He's up to second there. Ralph Arella just behind in third.
Looks like Peter Hindle's had some issues. Possibly formation that basically just comes through turn one now. But apart from that, looks like he's had to come together with James Butler, who's just coming down into turn two, I believe that is. Other than that, it looks like the field got away mostly clean.
So this is the back of Stoffmeal's car, just looking back at Dorr, Arella and Clive Britton in the BMW. So yeah, fairly quick start there for Stoffmeal. Got away nicely. Doesn't seem to be any sort of instance at the back of the field. So
I think there was a bit of a coming together with Butler and Hindle at the end of the formation lap as they've dropped right off. However, they'll make their way up. Obviously, stewards will be looking at that and dishing out penalties.
Yeah, looks like Butler's got a bit of damage there to the near side rear of the car. There's a few scrapes on that, so that might be where he's had a few incidents further down the field, or further back down the field. Simon Marquez with Wyatt there in the BMW.
It's also worth pointing out at this point for our viewers that the lap counter in the top left-hand corner is wrong. That's not a race room thing, that's a RRLeagues thing. Because we do the formation lap, that is counted as lap 1. So if you're thinking about what lap the guys are actually on in terms of fuel stinting and stuff, you just got to subtract 1 from that number.
If you're wondering which car we're looking at, the stream up the left-hand side, or the tower there of names, the indent is the car we are looking at, so that should help you pick those out.
There's a good battle going on for 23rd, as there often is at RRLeagues events, you know, fighting all the way throughout the field, as Jim is less than a tenth off of Rick, who's got 4 tenths back to Alexander, who's 4 tenths ahead of Savolts, who's 4 tenths ahead of Dimitri.
Well, that's Kennan's there in the BMW, and then just behind him you've got Rick Binnersley in the Merc, and Kokorek there. Just drop back to Binnersley because stood there at the back.
That's Savolt's gone off. You will not be happy about that.
Oh, that car looks pretty mud as well.
I've got it down as front aero damage, and yeah, that's definitely front aero damage. Ooh. We don't
straight into the wall there for Albertini. Like you said, he won't be happy about that. That's
I've
he's
driven
got away with
one
his
of those.
suspension damage.
It looks like, I doubt he has. I've driven one of those, granted without suspension damage, but with no front end on it. And you think that wouldn't affect the Corvette that much? It does. It really does. It's not a pleasant experience driving that thing with no front aero, with the lack it has anyway.
So going back up front, you can see the gap there from Stoffmill back to Door, almost a second, and then from Door to Arella to Clive Britton to Manojlovic is about half a second between each of those, and there's a bit of a gap then back to Greg Metcalf there in 6th position. He's 2.5 seconds behind Manojlovic, and then behind him there's a bit of a train. You've got Fillingham, Moolman, Lucas, Visage, Goli, Petterpeck, and a small gap then to Mole. So we're starting to get 2 little groups. The first 5 are pulled away, and you've got 6 to 10, and then from there they're all pretty much close, about a second. Whoa! Oh, was that a? It was a server glitch. Then I thought a car going sideways, but it was nothing. Oh, someone's off in the dirt there. Who was that? I think it was Manojlovic. It was. So Nemanja there was running up in 4th position at the time, I think, and oh, look at that. He's lost the whole front end of that car, the bonnet, everything's gone. So that's going to be fun to drive. He'll be probably back in the pits to make some repairs there. It's unfortunate we didn't see what happened there, but we just saw the cloud of dust as he flew into the barrier. And that car does not look happy at all. So that's virtually Manojlovic's race over and done with.
Yeah, but no, Nemanja, he'll plod around, get back, assess what the damage is. Obviously, you can do full damage fixes in race room. It'll depend what he's done to the engine, mostly. If he's got away without too much engine damage, which I doubt, then he should be good to continue.
Albertini in the pit's getting his damage repaired, hopefully. Hopefully he's not at the race, so that's being repaired.
Yeah, that'll be a full...
This is the battle for 5th now, so there's a bit of a gap between Metcalf here and Clive Britton in 4th, but then there's about 5 or 6 cars in this group here back to Andre Mole, so I'll keep an eye on the charts as to where the action's happening. But at the moment the first 4 are away and gone. This is Greg in 5th now after Melania's departure from the track.
Absolutely, and these, we are not draconian at RRLeagues. We do have a system whereby we have a drop round. This is mostly obviously because real life takes its toll and drivers need to miss races occasionally for family emergencies and, cars smashing into their houses and all that sort of thing. all the real life stuff that doesn't exist in sim racing. However, there is a tremendous feeling amongst the guys of, if you can finish the race, you will. We award points all the way down to 36 in these events, 36 being the maximum intake for our leagues. So you know what? Even if you plod around and you pick up five points, you pick up the 5 points because they'll mean something come the end of the season.
So Albertini's back on the track now. He's not had the aerodynamics fixed. That normally takes, if you get that fixed, it's normally the end of your race because it takes about a minute to have that done. It's not really worth doing because the time you lose with the aerodynamics, it does hurt you, I think, going through corners. I mean, I've felt that in cars where you lose the front aero and you just don't have the turning that you had before.
Ooh, Jack Camaletto's had a bit. No, not Jack Camaletto. His teammate has had a bit of a spin, by the looks of it.
That's James Butler there in the pits, along with Manojlovic getting his front end fixed. So it's all happening. Mark Schilling there up the inside of, I think that's Valentino Rossi. I don't know if it's the real Valentino Rossi, but
no, not the real Valentino Rossi.
Schilling makes a move there on Rossi and just makes his way up to 21st position. Good move from Schilling there.
I think Nigel Wood might have some suspension damage. He had a bit of a spin on the outside of turn 6, and he's just then gone through 7 and 8, and the car is not looking compliant.
I just wonder if it's that race room thing, you know, when you get gravel on the tyres, he's got it there that you can see. He's just finding it hard to. It's a ridiculous thing, this, when you get the gravel on the slick tyres and they just act like ball bearings and spin you around. We'll save Nigel's blushes then, because it's not the easiest thing to drive when you've got all that crap on your tyres. So
no, it is a bit exaggerated in race room, and also something that's kind of come to race room more recently with the December update, which that ball bearing like effect has as well.
Yeah.
Is the cars are now really sensitive to overheating of the tyres. They generally take a little while to come up to temperature, and you can keep them there quite happily. It's not like some simulators where you get a bit of a slide and tyres are shot for 3 laps, and you can manage those temperatures back down. But when they are hot, they are not fun to drive.
Yeah, I think race room are obviously trying to make things a bit fair when you go off track and you do it. You should experience some kind of detrimental effect, but I think they might slightly overdone the gravel effect on those tyres.
I am still watching him because I'm cruel like that, and now he's going down the front stretch, and he looks like he's sorted it a little bit.
No,
just a reminder for our viewers as well, our head of RR League, Simon Fillingham, sat in 7th position in a Porsche, which he doesn't normally drive, to be fair.
He's under pressure as well from old Vishal Kohli, as you can see there.
Yeah.
Kohli looking down the inside there. Fillingham does protect the line there on the inside as he takes that corner. Kohli again, he's still got that car there, but he's on the outside for this corner, so he's had to tuck back in. Fillingham taking the racing line through there and protected for I don't know how long, but he's...
Obviously, Vizar will be looking back a little bit at Kukurek as well. At Petr Pek, who is probably not... He's not going to let that car go.
He's gone off.
Vizar's had a bit of an off.
He's gone off. We just missed it as we flicked cameras. I don't know if he touched Simon and then just lost it as he touched him, but...
it looks like he did a little bit. He rejoins... It's not the cleanest rejoin in the world, but he didn't enter into anybody's path. Everybody got through okay. So he'll join the race damage-free, apart from obviously his dignity.
So Fillingham keeps 7th there. If we jump back to Jack Camaletto, there's a bit of a battle going on behind him. Sven Heck in the Mercedes just behind him, the turquoise, blue and white Mercedes there. Binnersley in the orange Mercedes, and Martin Kennans in the rather classically liveried BMW. So these 4 guys are pretty much at it here. Let's see if Camaletto can hold off Heck and Binnersley. That tight left-hander there into this right-hander. Camaletto, Heck, Binnersley, Kennans. Bit of a gap then back to Jim Britton and Vlasti Lucas, but these 4 are fighting over 11th place. Every point counts in this series. I say there's 8 rounds. Do you score points for every position? I think it does. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe it does, all the way down to 36th position. We don't change that based on the number of entrants either, so it's not like, and it's not 1 point per position. It's not NASCAR style. It's not 36 points for first, 35 for second. There is a gap there.
Jack ran wide at that corner there. He's lost 3 places now as Martin Kennan slips up the inside. So not the greatest few corners there for Camaletto. Jim Britton and Vlasti Lucas are also now on his tail, fighting over that. Obviously smell the blood. Jim Britton in that rather lush looking red McLaren 650S. The only one in the field today.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we're on about with RRLeagues. You're talking about these guys and looking at their best laps. They're currently... No, I wasn't reading that right. Thank God for that. I thought Stonford managed a 56. They're about 2 seconds on their best lap. They're about 2 seconds, and on the last lap, about 2-3 seconds off of the top 3 runners at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, Stoffmeal, Dore and Arella are both going around in 1:58.5. This group here, the last lap was pretty poor because they're all fighting over position, but they're just about breaking the 2 minute mark. So they're not, they're lapping at a pace where, obviously they're not on the lead lap. The leaders' times, but they're not that far off it. And as you know, when you're racing, if you're squabbling in traffic like this, you're always going to be losing time. You're never going to get a clean lap in.
And the point that I was going to make is they're 2 seconds off the lead, off the lead guys' times. Again, like you said, that would be squabbling and stuff. But who cares? You've got 5-6 guys here, all within 3 or 4 seconds, all 5 tenths away from the guys in front. As we see Vlasti nearly go up the inside of Jack. Jack covers that off going into the next corner, and
so just
Jim has a go at Vlasti. But this is what we mean: is you get battling throughout the field, and this is what we love to see.
I'm staying with Jack because that seems to be where the action is. He must be in season because everyone's up his arse at the moment.
I think he's just having a little bit of a country drive. He's obviously Jack screams. Oh, big crash there for Alexander in the Ford.
That Ford GT, unfortunately.
Doesn't look like there's any damage on it.
When the cars were in that close, it was always a possibility that one of them was going to end up pointing backwards, and unfortunately, that was Alexander there in his Ford GT. Camaletto, though, he's still got Vlasti Lucas up his backside there.
We can see that Dmitry Dimitrov is trying to hang on to this group, trying to make a little bit of progress. He's right on the back of Jim as they come down the main straight. And getting a lovely toe from that McLaren.
Down the start finish straight, you've got this right-hander here, another straight with another right-hander. You see Lucas here right on the tail of Camaletto.
Turn 2 is quite an annoying corner in most cars because there's somebody's gone off there really wide. Who was that?
I think that was Lucas. I think.
Yeah, it was Vlasti Lucas. And he's had again rubbish on his tyres, had a big slide through turn 3 and lost a whole heap of time, and he's reset himself in the pit, so he will be out of this race.
That's unusual for Vlasti. He'd normally continue from there, but yeah, unfortunately that's Vlasti out of the race, so we're down to 29 runners. Out front we've still got Stoffmeal, as you can see here. It's pulled out a bit of a gap now to Arella, nearly 3 seconds. It was pretty close a minute ago, but I don't know if Ralph's had a bit of a problem there with Clive because the two of them are battling over second place, but that's allowed Stoffmeal to pull a gap there to Ralph. So Ralph's back in second here with Clive Britton on his tail.
Clive's like a dog with a bone. He loves to hunt, and he will be enjoying seeing the back of that Golf Mercedes getting larger and larger in his windscreen.
Just trying down the inside there. Is he going to make the move? Is he going to make the move?
He'll go for the move.
He does.
I think that was a little bit kind by Arella, just kind of knowing, but very well held on the exit there from Clive.
I wonder if Arella's
keeping Ralph very honest.
Going to do the same to him now into turn 2. No.
you can't really overtake into turn 2. In these cars, you're in 5th, and it's kind of a blend, slight tap on the brake as you turn in.
You can see them scrubbing actually from that camera angle. You can see as they go through turn 2, the front end is just getting away from them as they go through. So you're right, there's not really an overtaking opportunity there.
Mostly it's just kind of brake as little as you can and just wait on getting on the throttle to the point where you can nail it and just use all the exit curb. We might see some guys, especially a little bit lower down the order, taking a gear there as the tyres degrade, just to, again, help get that nose in a little bit more. Some of them might be doing it already just to help manage that front tyre wear. But it's not really an overtaking spot. A bit like the corner they go through now, turn 9 from memory. Again, not really an overtaking spot. You're kind of getting the run ready for turn 10, 11 and 12 before we go onto the back straight.
So that's the battle for second. We jump to 4th. Got Greg Metcalf there. David Dorr about a second behind him. Moorman about a second behind him. And then back to Fillingham here again. He's in 7th. Peter Peck in that black and yellow BMW. Fighting over 7th with him. Andre Mole just behind him in the classic BMW. A bit of a gap then back to Fabian Geld. Binnersley a further 4 seconds behind him. Kennan's Heck, and they're all pretty much spread out now, apart from that Camaletto Britain fight we were watching earlier. Those two are still battling over that 14th, 15th and 16th. Yeah,
Britain's just got the better of Camaletto since we were last on board with them. But yeah, Jack won't be giving that up easy. I'm sure he's had a couple of custard creams and will be fighting right back in there. So there you go, Britain, Camaletto and Dimitriev, I think, in that white and green Porsche there. Is that the sponsor of that car? I can't, it's just gone from the top of my head, it's gone. But anyway, that's those three. Should give a shout out to Simo Marquez back in 19th place here. Got his new set of pedals only, I think it was Monday or Tuesday this week, had them all fitted, so I'm not saying he's struggling with his pedals, he's doing okay at the moment, but a little shout out to him. He's had his new equipment in and just getting used to it, and choosing this series to try and get used to some new equipment is not great at all. It's brave.
It's brave.
You got to admire his commitment.
Brave's a good word.
As we see, Jack Camaletto has just dropped down and Faisal actually gone all the way up. No, sorry. Dimitriev has gone all the way up past 13th. A bit of a swap around there of places there by the looks of it. Shout out to Jack as well. He's also got, I think he's got his direct drive wheel now as well, his Simucube direct drive. I was watching him on Sunday driving our Green Hell series, and he was working up quite a sweat with that wheel, so I don't know if he's adjusted his settings for this race, but he'll be building some muscles up and some biceps up with that fitted now, so good luck to him on that. Clive and Ralph are still fighting, getting closer and closer here for second. Let's have a look down the straight again and see if Ralph can pull one back on him. Clive defends up the inside there. Ralph goes round the outside. Has he managed to? No. Not quite.
Good defending from Clive there. It's the right line to take into that corner under pressure. And like we said, turn 2 isn't going to really give Ralph an opportunity. So good driving there from Clive.
What you saw there from Clive is he came over to the right, and it almost looks like he's covering off the line over that crest. They do that. It's not covering off the line. You can't see it very well from the camera angle, but if you look at a track map of the place, there is actually a left-hand kink, and it's pretty much right on that tunnel.
Oh, really? On top of the hump?
Pretty much. So you kind of take it's one of those things. It's kind of, if you just run and just trust the white line, you'll go over there and you'll put 2 wheels in the dirt. So
it's very fine. Just looking at the track map, it is very fine. But you're right. If you can't see that as you come over the bridge, you will end up on the dirty side of the track on the left and possibly in the ground there. So
well, it's only grass up on the bridge, but yeah, you will end up in the dirt. So what you do is you kind of come over to the right, make sure you've got that clearance, and then once you've come up over the hump, move back over to the left to take the optimal line through. You've got plenty of time to do that in. like we said, it's not an overtaking spot, so you're not really going to find somebody. You might find somebody who's a bit ambitious, and they'll go up your outside just to unsettle you, like at that point, just so that you can't come over to the outside and take your third line through. But generally, that'll make them slower too. So, and they'll probably be doing the same as they come up to lap Mikhail Suski in the 2018, 2019. It's the Evo Audi. It's the It's the one without the Ultra on the ending.
While I've been watching this, we've also lost 2 more cars. Sven Heck is out of the race, and Valentino Rossi also sitting in the pits out of the race. So we're down to 27 now. Albertini brings up the rear after that incident in on lap 1. As you said, Suski's just been lapped. Butler had that incident with Peter Hindle at the back. We've got Nigel Wood back there as well. I think he had a spin at the start. And obviously we saw Manojlovic with half his front end missing at one point. So that's the reason they're all back there.
It's worth pointing out that obviously Nemanja's Mercedes is not looking too happy at the moment. It's got a front light out. It's got a very crumpled bonnet. I believe that will be fully fixed damage, believe it or not. The game will register that as it's been fully fixed.
It's a nice move there, sorry, by Vicoli on Dmitriev, just on the run down there, and he's managed to hold it on, and he's sort of pulled out, not a gap, but he's managed to break away slightly there from Dmitriev, so he'll need to keep on that to make sure he doesn't get away. You can see the car's starting to slide now. We're what, 20 minutes into the race, and the front ends are starting to break away now. You can see that they're struggling with that front end as the tyres heat up, so we're nowhere near pit stop range yet, but it just shows you just how much they'll be struggling with these tyres as they go through the heating up stage to the point where they're almost melting.
Yeah, and you were talking about Simon Marquez earlier, and he's right on the back of Mark Schilling in the Porsche, just going around turn 6 now, and you know those two have been nose to tail a little bit for a couple of laps. Mike Wyatt he'll be using a bit of a watching brief here. He's about 3 seconds back with Albertini behind him, so clearly just lapped that car. Mike and Sav are, good friends outside of the race. So if it turns out Sav is actually a bit quicker, you can expect that car to go through without too much issue.
Mark was my teammate in the F4 series we recently had, and he's pretty new to sim racing. So we were talking quite a bit. I did try and talk him out of the Porsche, but he said no, he'll try it. And to be fair, he's running all right in 18th place there.
Porsche seems to have a bit of a weird characteristic in race room at the moment, where if you can get it working and it's the right track for Porsche, it's quick. There's no denying that. It is quick. However, on tracks it doesn't like, it's not very fun to drive, is what I've heard.
Yeah. So Schilling, teammate with Deliver. Deliver's my teammate in the upcoming Audi series. We've got the Audi TT Championship, which is being run, I think it's on Sunday, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe.
You need to get some practice in for that. So first
yes,
race on Sunday.
I need to too.
Should spend less time commentating and more time driving, then we wouldn't be stuck in the commentary box all the time. But yeah, that's on Sunday. So again, if you're enjoying this, join us on Sunday on RRLeagues. You can watch me and Ethan trying to crawl up the side TV tower, trying to get into 26th and 27th position. As we take on it's Salzburgring, I believe, on Sunday, isn't it?
Salzburgring, yes, with a lovely first chicane. But yeah, not for the faint of heart, Salzburgring. Actually, a track that genuinely I really enjoy. I really like Slovakia as well, though, so that says something about me, doesn't it?
So yeah, join us on Sunday for that. You can watch us go around. We've also got an ACC GT4 series starting the following week. So plenty of action. We've actually got spaces in that GT4, only a few, I think there's 3. So if you are watching this, you're an ACC fan, join us for that GT4 league and pick up one of those spaces. And we could, well, I wouldn't be commentating on you because I'm competing in that as well. But if you do want us to commentate on you, then pick up, I think we've got 2 spaces left for this GT3 championship still, surprisingly. This normally fills up straight away. but there are still spaces left in this. So if you want to come and join us, get your application in quick, and we'll try and get you in the league, and we'll give you 2 minutes of TV time next time you're in. Fillingham here, still under pressure from Petter Peck, still battling for 7th place. Is that dust there in the background? Someone gone off there, or is that just race room doing its thing?
I think that's just race room doing its thing, to be honest with you. They've just come through turn 3, haven't they? So yeah, I think that's also another one where there is kind of a, the track is not perfectly straight over those hills, as you might imagine.
That's why you saw the dust. Michael Susski's off there at turn 3. Put it into the, sorry, in turn 2, turn 3.
Turn 2.
Yeah.
Turn
put it
3
into
is the one coming up the
That's
long
why
right
the cloud was there. So and now he's got that race room.
Staying out the way for Jack Camilletto there through turn 3. That group is really fractured, hasn't it? That Britain, Dimitri, they're all now about a second apart, whereas they were nose to tail.
Well, if you remember earlier, Binnersley, Kennans and that were fighting with Camilletto. They've pulled away about a second, as you said. Well, to be fair, Binnersley pulled out 10 seconds on Kennans, and he's closing down Fabian Geld at quite a rate of knots. So Rick's doing very, very well in the Merc there. Kennan's now, say, about 10 seconds behind him. Dmitriev in 13th, another 2 seconds drop back to that. And Jack struggling down in 16th, a further 6 seconds behind Jim Britton. So not the greatest race in the world for Jack Camilletto there.
We're just seeing on the left-hand side there as well, Stusky taking mandatory pit stop. My pit counter is saying NA. It doesn't look like he's actually been in, despite the fact that that's running. As it is, these cars only do about 65 minutes on fuel. So we're on about the quickest route, being obviously going the full hour. Obviously, there is the contrary strategy to that, which is, in theory, the slowest strategy, which would be to pit at about 65 minutes remaining, and then go 65 minutes remaining, and then go to the end. So he hasn't even met that criteria yet. So he will have to pit again, no matter what, and he will have to take fuel, and he might have to take tyres, depending on what tyres he took.
Yeah, now the pit window is open. You can see, as Ethan said, you've got red markers down there, as you can see by the right of the driver name. Where they're red, that means they have a pit stop left to do. And as you said, Susky has made his mandatory pit stop there and is currently coloured green. So he doesn't have to stop again, but I'm guessing he will do at some point, because I don't think he had the fuel.
He will have to stop again, but not because of the mandatory pit stop regulation. Just on the
sorry, go on.
Just on the note of series that we've got running, naturally you forgot a couple. Those are the 3 series that are. You're right. Those are this one and the Audi and the GT4s over in ACC. Those are the 3 almighty autumn, as we call it, leagues that are running. Our NLS VLN series is ongoing. Plenty of space in that.
That is so
GT3
sexy.
cars. It's the Audi TT again, but it's the RS VLN version, which is the version without push to pass. A little bit faster than the TT Cup cars. And the BMW M235i's. Because that's easy for you to say. There's still space in that, and we have announced our every month we do, normally the last Sunday of the month, we do a thing called Race Club, where we take some cars out to a track for a bit of fun. No points, still serious competitive racing, and we've got LMP1 and GT, the GT class as we're calling it, running at Daytona International Circuit, around the road course. Yeah, it will be the road course. What we mean by the GT class is we've done a bit of investigation, and the new Porsche GTE car actually is on pace roughly with the GTR1 cars. So what we're doing is we're entering both of those classes, and we're using Race Room's grid creation function to actually put those 2 classes together. So that'll be a 2.4-hour event around the Daytona road course, with the P1s and the GTs, and the 2 GT classes actually fighting on a mostly level playing field around that track.
So,
And
yeah,
there's still 13, 14 spaces open in that. So if you want to get involved in that,
mate, probably that is a tough old race.
that will be a tough race for them. But it is the perfect entry into RRLeagues. You get to meet the chaps, you get to have a great race. It doesn't count for anything. But
Yeah,
you
it's a little
still...
bit less serious. It's a good race, like you said, but it's a little bit less serious, and you do get to meet with everyone, talk with everyone after the race, and so I think it is a good entry into RRLeagues, even if the cars are a bit mental.
Yeah, the LMP, maybe don't jump onto, and that's on the 29th of August from memory, or 30th of August. Maybe don't jump into race room on the 29th and go, I'm going to drive an LMP1. That's probably not your smartest move ever. However, they are crazy cars, good fun. I personally like the GTE around that track, but yeah, that promises to be a good event.
So remember that battle for second with Clive Britton and Ralph Renner? Well, Clive's pulled out just about a second here on Ralph. And it's allowed David Doyle, you can see in the background, just to grab on the back of Arella to make it, I wouldn't say a three-way battle for second, but there's certainly a group of three there that are following each other through, trying to keep Stoffmeal in some kind of honesty, but Mike's there, as you can see. He's...
That's not David Dorr behind. That's not David Dorr behind Clive.
Ah, you're right. It's 21 seconds. I was going to say I thought he pulled up a bit quick. And they just lapped a car there as Ralph just... Oh, yeah, is that Peter Hindle in the background, I think, isn't it? I think he's just gone past, so that's why.
Yeah.
What colour's David's car then?
David Dorr is
that one with the yellow striped
Mercedes.
Yes,
so
that's
yeah,
one that went wide in the gravel, wasn't it, earlier on? That's why he's dropped back quite a bit. That's why. Okay. See, that's why I have you, Ethan. That's why you're here, just to keep me honest and watch actually what is going on rather than just me waffling on.
Yeah, we did see just now. I've now lost it. Fabian Guide and Rick Binnersley are in a bit of a tussle. Rick,
I was watching that for about 2 minutes, had it on the stream, and I thought, oh, Rick's going to overtake this, but I didn't want to give him too much TV time. But it is, to be fair, it is the battle of the race. The two of them have been at it for some time, as have Clive and Ralph here. We'll just drop back to Fabian and Rick. These two are hammer and tongues. I mean, is it worth... Do you get an advantage by pitting early and trying to get an undercut, or does that not really count in race room?
It counts in race room for sure. Like, if you're doing it for, you know, F4 or open wheelers or anything like that, then yeah. However, for the most part, I would say for GT3 cars, you're probably better off looking at the overcut. If you are in a battle like this and the guy is clearly holding you up, you will go for the undercut just to get out of it, to get out of that situation. But you're talking a lap or two undercut. You're not talking pit now and hope you can go to the end. It will just be slower. I
mean, you can see there...
The other thing with these...
Sorry, go on, mate.
The other thing with these cars is because the tyre wear is an extreme one, because the fuel wear is, or the fuel burn is what creates the speed in the car. And they carry an awful lot of fuel. About 110 litres, 120 litres, some of these tanks. So you're looking at, you know, a little under 95, 90 odd kilos of weight that you're carrying. You wouldn't carry that weight and not use it. So you wouldn't fuel up for the hour and then pit now.
Even if you're being held up?
Even if you're being held up, the fuel burn is too valuable to you.
I mean, I was just looking at Fabian Geld's, just going back to that battle with Geld and Binnersley. So Fabian Geld's best time is 1:59.9. Rick's best time is 1:59.5. So he's got 4/10 on him, which is probably why he's constantly on his tail. But he just hasn't got that extra. You probably need, what, about a second and a half here or a mistake to try and get past a driver. If you've only got 4/10 between you, you're not going to make that pass anywhere apart from, like I said, turn one at the end of the start-finish straight.
Yeah. What we've seen is obviously we've seen turn one, commitment corner, turn two, commitment corner, turn three, long right-hander, turn six, commitment corner. There's lots of commitment corners here, and that doesn't necessarily breed the most exciting of overtaking racing, as Rick is obviously proving me wrong, as he's going to, looks like he's setting up a move here going into turn 1. He's taken the inside, you see alongside. This isn't the most
This
helpful
could be
camera in the
interesting.
world.
Has he got
Yep,
him?
he's
Oh, they come
alongside.
together.
Oh,
Oh, Rick keeps
big
it
side
together.
from Rick. That'll be a 7 from the Russian judge. Should have kept the slip angle, bit more throttle, and he would have got a 10. But clearly not a drifter, that car, and just settled it back down. And he will not be impressed with himself right now.
Well, do you think Geld could cut in on him there on that
turn?
turn-in? Did he leave him enough space there?
Did
They
he
came
enough
together
space?
before Rick lost it. I mean, that was the reason that Rick kind of lost the car there. So
Absolutely, it's a wide turn as well, so it might. Was there space there with the angle that the corner comes in? I don't know. I think Rick would be a little bit silly not to protest that with the stewards, and then obviously it's up to them. Fabian is new, so he wouldn't necessarily, with all the will in the world, he won't necessarily realise that that is considered off in our community.
okay, well, let's give us a chance to just watch, because Bennis is 2 seconds behind now. We'll jump onto another battle and we'll just keep an eye on that gap and just see if Benizzi has got that pace to pull back onto the back of Geld. Just behind him, we've got the battle from Dimitriev and Jim Britton in the McLaren. Jim's been climbing all over the back of that Porsche for some time now, but again, he's in the same situation as Rick is with Fabian Geld, that he just doesn't have that pace to try and get past him. Just to come on to the start finish straight, I think it is. So Jim can just keep on his tail there and get. Oh no, it's over the bridge. It's not. I thought that was a start finish straight, but it's not.
There's also a battle going on with Jack Camaletto again. It's the battle of the old guys. I'm
sure Jack will appreciate you calling that.
Yeah, Jack's practically geriatric, as Alexander in the Ford has a little sniff going up into turn 13, but nothing really doing there. Jack covers it up quite nicely. I am, of course, referring to the cars. I wouldn't be so unkind to Jack. Mostly because he's an angry Scottishman, and I know something about them.
So Jack takes the inside line here to defend down into turn 1. Alexander's going on the outside in the GT and tries to cut back. Probably thinking Jack would brake late, run wide. He didn't. So those two remain as they are, fighting over 16th place there. The car in front is a lapped car, so that's not one they're fighting with. The one they are fighting is a Martin Kennens in the BMW, just in front of that rather ill-looking Mercedes there.
Rick Binsley is just dropped within a second of Fabian Guide, so yeah, probably was being held up a little bit by Fabian there, and Rick will be sniffing blood, I imagine, as he makes up some time on Fabian there.
So yeah, you're right. He's pulled about. That's only one lap that's gone so far. This is the second lap they've had since that incident, and he's already pulled, like you said, a second back now. The gap is just, well, it is a second. So
yeah,
like we said, bearing in mind the fastest laps they've done, I think Rick has got about 4/10 on him, and that's going to pull back, and then they're going to find themselves in that position again as they come down.
Rick's Pulp Friction teammate is probably having a very similar feeling, obviously in the identical livery to Mercedes. Just looking at the back of Jan Ullman, as he has for a little while now, and Peter Peck is about 0.7 of a second behind them as well. Just the three of them going around quite happily, but I can imagine Greg will want to make that move sooner rather than later. But it's been this way for most of the race now, so I imagine it will stay like that as they come up on, by the looks of that is James Butler just in front of them, who obviously is a lapped car. Yeah, so he'll be getting out of the way forthwith.
So none of I'll say the front runners, but the people that are still in contention without any issues. None of those have made their pit stops yet. They're still driving around. We are approaching halfway. 100-minute race, as we said.
Manjmanovic seems to have made his pit stop.
I wonder if he was just had the damage on that car was just too much for him. It's just
the car doesn't look any less damaged, and like I said, I think he's now got a front end and he's got a bonnet as crumpled as the bonnet is. So I'm guessing that is as fully repaired as Race Room is going to bother to make it.
Do you think the stewards found that at the side of one of the turn 3? Took it back to the pits and said to the mechanics, "Here you go. Here's your bonnet that we found."
No, I think it's made out of paper, and one of the mechanics was doing a spot of origami with it by the looks of it. One thing's for sure either way, his mother did not iron that before he came out, which is poor showing, really.
Remember Mark Schilling? He's still scrapping with David Kokorek this time. Kokorek in that black and yellow BMW.
As Rick Binnersley pits, so maybe he has realised he's being a little bit held up. Maybe this was his strategy all along. That's obviously the other strategy that a lot of people will be going for, is they will be dividing the race 50-50. So maybe just realising that he's in his pit window now. He can afford to come in, not lose so much time behind Fabian, and just reset himself a little bit.
Yeah, just depends where he's going to come out, I guess. If he comes out in a decent kind of position, he's dropping down. He might come out somewhere around that Schilling-Kokorek battle.
Like we mentioned, we won't see it here because of the nature of fuels, the GT3 fuel and tyres in Race Room. Very much based around the kind of sprint tyres that they use in Blancpain rather than the longer enduro tyres. But you saw the car there race, that is fuel and then tyres being put on. So it would technically be faster for them to not take tyres, but obviously the mandatory pit stop means that they do have to, as he's back down and away up to 60k, which will feel very pedestrian. And the cars, as he exits, will be doing much greater speeds, especially as that's Mike's downfall that has just gone through into turn 1 ahead of him.
So there goes Stoffmill. So Binnersley's just been lapped. Obviously Stoffmill's still got to make his pit stop. Fabian Geld's last lap's a 2:01.1. So we'll just keep an eye on Rick for this, well, not for this lap, obviously, because it's his out lap, just to see if he can pull some kind of time on Fabian Geld and see if he can jump in. Geld in 10th at the moment, so yet to stop. So we'll just keep an eye on those two. Up in front.
So we've had a change of position for P12, which I know is the most exciting thing in the world. Britain now ahead of Dimitrov. And seems to be running away a little bit. So whether Dimitrov is struggling on older tyres than that Porsche, and the McLaren just a little bit more planted, as Metcalf also moves ahead of Peck. Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, those three were all together going through turn 1 and 2.
Looks like Moolman has had an incident and dropped back behind the pair of them. But it looks like he's staying with them fairly well, so it looks like maybe just a little wobble into turn 1.
He got squeezed. There was 3 of them going over between turn 1 and turn 2, and he just got squeezed and backed out a little bit and lost those places. But it was a good battle there for a little while, watching the 3 of them go at it.
Hard but fair racing, that's what we like to see.
Hard but fair. So Greg's come out of that quite well. He's now up in 5th. Just needs to see if he can pull that gap back to David Dorr there. He's about 5 seconds behind Dorr, and just pull away from Petter Peck and Moolman, just to see if he can lose some of that pressure off his rear end. He just needs a few laps of... in fact, to be fair, if Metcalf and Peck work together here, they can pull that gap back to Dorr. So rather than squabbling, if they just work together, they can try and get that 5 seconds back to Dorr and try and make it into a 3-way battle for 4th. Because Dorr at the moment is on his own, really.
We've got our latest pick called Peter Hindle. He's currently sat there. I'm not sure who he was battling, so I can't tell you if he is.
I think he's in the battle there with Wood and Butler. He's around those 2 cars, so I should imagine he'll drop out a lot further back, obviously. But those 2 are still going to make their stops. Oh, he's got a drive through, speed in the pit lane. Peter Hindle, that's
that
going to
is
hurt.
not good.
That's going to hurt.
Yeah.
So
Like
fair
we
play
said,
to
it's
Petr. He's managing to keep Greg honest, but not fighting him. So those two are pulling a little bit back on door. Geld's still out there. Fabian Geld's last lap was a 2:01.6. Binnersley's last lap was a. Oh, he's still got his out lap. This is the lap we need to watch on this one. So he's still going round. Keep an eye on that for you.
In other news, as is famously said, Alexander. I'm not even going to bother.
Garasmatic disc.
I think. It seems like he's had a little bit of an issue as Mike Wyatt is now ahead of him, as Jack Camaletto actually just dropped into the pits after chasing Martin Cannons for a little bit. And Visa Kikoli is also into the pits.
So everyone's dropping in. That's halfway through the race. So everyone's dropping in right on schedule to make the most of those tyres. It's a shame we haven't got a little tyre up so we can see exactly how people are wearing, but they're obviously coming to the end of their life. Front 10, 12, 15 cars are still out there though, so it'd be interesting to see
like
just
we
when
said, realistically, yeah, you can split the, most people, I imagine quite a lot of people will be splitting the race 50-50, but really you can take it all the way down to about 30 minutes. They will be getting notifications on their screen about how long it is till the pit window finishes. We think that's at 33 minutes. So we're imagining people will start coming in like 10 minutes time.
Speeding the pit lane, he's got to drive through as well as Hindle. So
as I'm proving to be a liar, as both Clive and Ralph come into the pits on this lap as well.
So the pits are pretty busy at the moment, as you can see in the background there. There's quite a few of them in the pits. Metcalf is staying out though. He's currently now in second place. Petr just behind him in third. Milman fourth. Fillingham up to fifth. Fabian Gelder up to sixth. But these are all yet to make their pit stops. Martin Kennans now gets a drive-through penalty speed in the pit lane. So they're obviously missing their marks as they come into either.
It's really weird here because, like, you accelerate round turn 13, and because the pit lane's on the outside, you can take the mick a little bit, and then you've got to kind of slow down to turn left onto, like, to turn parallel with the main straight, and the pit lane is, from memory, the pit limiter is just after that turn, so you've really got to get it slowed down. And like we said, it's 60k here, which is for the size of the track. Sorry, excuse me. You can see it's quite a wide pit lane and stuff, so we'd expect an 80k limit, and actually it's not. And I think a few people are going to get caught out by that.
So Andre Moll's pulled into the pits. We said we'd keep you updated on the Binnersley battle. Binnersley did a 1:59.8 on his outlap. Fabian's going round in a 2:01.5. So you may see that was a very strategic pit stop there from Binnersley. He may well jump Fabian Geld in that battle there. For, I think it was it 7th or 8th? Or Fillingham was in 7th, wasn't he? So it'd be 8th or 9th.
It was around 10th.
Was it?
Oh, we can see as well, Ralph Varela has actually jumped Clive in the pit stop, might have taken just a little bit less fuel. I know Clive quite well, and he's a little bit conservative on his fuel. He'd rather take an extra 5 laps and make sure he's going to go to the end than run it dry. So maybe just ruining that decision a little bit.
Okay, so there's Metcalf. It looks like Peck and Moorman have jumped into the pits there because Greg's now on his own. Is that Peck behind him, or did Peck go into the pits? Let's just jump on board with Petr Peck. No, that is Peck. Moorman's in the pits. There we go. Fillingham's into the pits as well. So those are the 4th and 5th drivers in. And Geld's now into the pits, so we'll keep an eye on Geld and Binnersley when he comes round to see exactly how that's going to ship out.
On track, we've got Alexander going past Mike Wyatt. Not a forceful move, doesn't look like there was any contact made, but definitely a excuse me, I'm here now.
So Britton and Dmitriev are both in as well, so we'll see who wins that battle, who comes out of there. Dmitriev a bit slow there into the pits, into the stop there, so those are getting their service. Stoffmill is still gloriously out in front now, 30 seconds away, has still got to make his stop. Greg Metcalf
Metcalf
as well.
and Peck in a similar situation.
Still to make his stop, as I said, with Peck. The first of the cars that have made their stop, as we said, Ralph Arella, who jumped Clive Britton in the pit stop. So he's got about 2 seconds there on Clive. And we'll just have a drop in with Binnersley as he comes round, just to see if he manages to pick up that that place from Fabian Gell. So there's Binnersley coming down the straight, and there's Gell just coming out the pit. So Binnersley jumps Gell by quite a bit there. Look, you can see about 3-4 seconds, even more than that, to be fair. So
that
good,
was a smart.
good stuff from Binnersley there. Jumps up into 13th, but that'll shake out a little bit more when some of the other guys come in to make their stops.
Yeah, we're expecting Nigel.
Here comes
Wood, Wyatt.
Metcalf and Peck in for their stops. So they're in the pit. Stoffmill still. Oh no, Stoffmill's in the pit as well. So that's the top 3 in. We'll just see where Ralph comes round. He was about 15 seconds behind that group. We'll just see how much time Ralph makes up when he comes round, just to see if he pulls any sort of advantage on them.
Mike Stonefall is rolling.
Stoffmill comes out of the pit, so it's not going to affect Stoffmill. Peck and Metcalf are still getting their service. Ralph is on the main straight. That's a great... What has Ralph done there? That's a fantastic bit of work.
Well, Ralph was in third before the stops happened, so we're kind of expecting that. Metcalf rolling.
Oh, it was Ralph and Clive, you're right.
Yeah, he stays ahead of Peck.
Yeah, so he's
gap
still got
was fairly similar to when they came in, as Wyatt comes in the background.
So Grasimic's still to stop. He's running up in 4th place, but he's still going to make his stop. There's David Dorr. And
Nigel Wood just pulled into the pit. So yeah, Alexander now the only one who is yet to make their stop, providing Nigel and Mike have set theirs correctly.
So David Dorr in 5th. He'll jump up obviously into 4th place after Alexander makes his pit stop. There's a gap of 10 seconds then back to Greg Metcalf, who's fighting over Petter Peck out the pits. Not much change there. Looks like they stopped.
I think Ralph's had a little incident, because Clive is now back ahead of him, and there's a good 9-10 seconds between the two.
You're right, and the
9
front
seconds between the two of them.
Does that look dirty at the front? Looks like he's had a bit of a gravel excursion.
Looks like he might have done.
So
And
Clive up there in
Petter Peck
second.
and absolutely, Clive, like I said, a little bit conservative sometimes on his strategy, but a very consistent driver, very, very good at what he does. As Marquez and Wood have a little ding-dong battle just past him coming out of.
So just to give you an idea of the fastest times today, David Dorr's got the fastest lap so far, 1:58.2. Stoffmiller 1:58.3, and then we've got Arella with a 1:58.5 and Clive Britton with a 1:58.6. So they're all there or thereabouts as Clive just goes past. Is that? Can't see who that is, unfortunately. It's not Schilling, is it?
Yes, it is Schilling.
Yeah, it was Schilling. So Clive just struggles past Schilling there, but laps him and cleanly, so that's through.
Oh, Jim's had a big accident. That's not how a McLaren is supposed to look, and he's got serious suspension damage, by the way. That just turned in. It seems to be hobbling on the front and right.
That's a shame for Jim. That is a shame, and he's got to be careful as he comes out there, because anything that comes, it's going to be even worse as he gets back onto the tarmac. That's just going to turn around 180 degrees. Fair play, he's managed to keep it fairly straight.
Oh, and contact with Mike as they come through the left-hander there. And
a bit of sympathy there for Jim, because I'm guessing he's not fully in control of that car with the damage that he's got. We must have lost about 300 kilos there looking at that, because there's quite a bit of that car missing. Doesn't come into the pit zone, so he's still carrying on.
I think the easiest way to remove 300 kilos from that McLaren would be to remove Jim, to be fair. I'm sure you don't mind me saying that.
Oh, you are dead.
I've been fired. I thought I was fired after Zolder, so actually I'm doing quite well to be sat here now. Yeah, Jim definitely suffering with that. Maybe it wasn't suspension damage, maybe it was just that classic, or say classic current racing issue with ball bearings on the tyres. However, he will be not enjoying the experience in that McLaren.
So we're looking at the outlier here. Grasimic is still to pit. He's managed to make those tyres last as long as they possibly can. He comes through again on another lap, so he's holding Door up here. So any mistake that RRL make that Door wanted to capitalise on is
and David will be frustrated by this. Like, not from a position where Alexander shouldn't be doing this, but just the frustration of, I'm faster than him, I've got tyres, he hasn't got tyres, he's not here on pace. And he'll be able to tell that by the way you pulled up to him. Good 2.3 seconds between their best laps. As it looks like actually Door is having a little look into turn 3, but nothing really doing there. It's actually, like, on the track map, it looks like a really great place to make a pass, but actually with the downhill braking zone, it's really tricky. And you're far more likely then to get stuck on the inside, which goes the outside. Although as David Door makes it work on the inside there through turn 5 and 6.
Yeah, a lot of people say that he shouldn't really be holding, even though they're obviously fighting for position with Alexander still to make his pit stop. A lot of people say he shouldn't be fighting there and you should really let Door go. But anything could happen in this race. Door might have an incident or something later on, and 10 minutes to go in the race, he might find himself fighting with the same position again. So he's got every right to fight for that position.
The only reason you wouldn't fight for that position is if it's going to do your strategy detriment. And actually, at the moment, he can go where he's not. He's well within his pit window. You know, all he's doing now is holding up potential rivals, and as long as he's doing that safely and fairly, crack on.
Exactly. Mate. So back down the field, Petr Pek. He's got the Mercedes of Binnersley.
Ooh, contact, sorry, between Kukurek and Manavlovic. Bit of a speculative move there by Manavlovic through what I think is turn 1. Yeah, it is turn 1. Just hits the side of Kukurek. A bit too far back on that move for me personally. Done a little bit of a loop-to-loop. But still got some time to shilling behind. So he'll just gather his thoughts, gather more bits of body work, and be on his merry way.
So I say back on board with Petr Pek there. He's got Binnersley in that. Oh, Mike's come out in his McLaren. That looks a lot better than it did. Sorry, not Mike, Jim. Jim Britton in the McLaren there. He's had that front end fixed, so that looks a bit healthier now. Peck there with Binnersley with the McLaren just behind him. So the only real battle on the moment is between Wyatt and Vizar here. Everybody else is pretty much stretched out with a second or two between each of them. As they come down towards turn 1 down the straight, don't really think Jacobi's close enough here to Wyatt to make an attempt into turn 1. No, Wyatt runs a little bit wide there, but still manages to cover the position. So come over the bridge, like we said, just bends round slightly to the right, and there's the right hander there. Oh, and gets very, very close there, as you can see.
Giving him the hurry up through there.
White in the big old Bentley manages to get his foot down through there.
And that's something these guys know, especially something that was really heralded by Race Room when the December update came out was the update to crash physics. Beforehand, it was those sort of incidents that would send one or both of you just careening off into the barrier. So well done to the guys in Sector 3 for that. Very much appreciated, because sometimes these guys do forget that, you know, GT cars is not, as much as they are grand tourers, they're not touring cars. Some of the guys, you know, think about that sometimes, as it looks like Visor's got him up here. Yeah, it's just going to shove, say shove, it's going to just move Mike a little bit wide there.
It's a lot more realistic, because if you do just touch the rear end of a car, they're not going to just completely spin around. It is a lot more realistic now, where you can
absolutely
basically bump draft the car in front to
yeah, and we've had some fun with that at RRLeagues. Obviously in GTs we see it a little bit occasionally. Touring car series that we do occasionally, they are enjoying it. They've enjoyed it in that, and I won't mention Zoncar because I believe that Sector 3 has a warrant on my head over that. But we took some Zondas to the super speedway at Daytona for an evening as part of a race club event, and had some fun pretending to be NASCAR drivers in Zondas, and we were using and abusing bump drafting there to its fullest effect. Alexander now in a bit of a bub.
So these two are pretty much done, I think. Chicoli's just putting a little bit out from Wyatt. Just up ahead, we've got Andre Mole here in 9th position. That's Petter Peck, who's pulled a little bit away from Binnersley here, onto the back of Mole. So Peck's obviously got some pace in this second half of the race. His last lap was into 158 to 158.8, so good times. As Stoffmill puts in a 157, well, 9.840, just breaks into the 57s as the fuel load comes down. So Stoffmill's going a little bit quicker now. But good lap there, the last one from Peck, 158.8. He's certainly putting the pressure on Mole.
Absolutely, but Mole's fairly experienced, and I believe he's raced Peck a number of times now, so he'll know where the checkpoint will be having a sniff, and where he will just leave it for now, and obviously try and maximise those corners from Andre.
Unfortunately, Jim Britton has retired from the race by the looks of it. Looks like what was a sick McLaren looks a lot better McLaren now, but obviously Jim's suffered enough with that, and he's parked it up, so that's Jim Britton out of the race, unfortunately.
Ooh, that's not the nicest thing in the world. Jack and Samau have had a bit of a coming together sort of thing. I believe that's trying to get interaction with the car ahead, which is Clive. Okay, I think that was Jack trying to make the move on Samau.
Under the blue flag.
Clive obviously came through to lap them. Yeah, just a reminder for those of you who don't know, we do run endurance style blue flags, so it's not 3 chances and you're out. It's we give you 3 places, 3 reasonable opportunities to make to let the car through. And it's been hotly debated for some reason, I don't understand it personally, in the Discord and in the forums, about the validity of making a move in that sort of situation. So obviously the cars have got to move over, but they should move over for Clive. And should Jack not make the move? I'm firmly of the opinion of that's part of racing. You know, as much as you've got a blue flag for Clive, it's still race on between you. I believe it's cheeky. I believe it's the utmost of cheeky moves to make a move while the car ahead of you has got blue flags. But personally, I see nothing wrong with it. As Alexander now makes his pit, pushing it pretty much as far as you would want to go. That is probably been told that his mandatory pit stop needs to be now. He's taken those tyres probably a little bit beyond what they should go.
So that's all mandatory pit stops now completed. The 3 at the bottom with the red dots, they are out of the race. That's Rossi, Heck and cash, so those guys are already out. That's the reason why they've not managed to stop yet. We're still watching.
Yeah, so I think just going to see where Alexander pulls out. Looks like Vizar's going to get past without any problems. So actually he's going to, and Wyatt is actually passing here. So this is what we're on about, is actually, it is kind of worth sometimes coming in a little bit earlier. And that, we saw Alexander, he was up in fourth as it was at the time, and slipped back behind Avador, slipped back behind Metcalf, slipped back behind, I think Fillingham got him as well before he decided to pit. And that's that thing, is yes, you can go deeper into the race, and maybe that is the preferred strategy on some tracks, but actually you do hit a cliff. And Alexander lost too much time there on those last 2 laps and dropped it a long way back on Mike.
Yeah, but the flip side of that is he's going to have very fresh tyres as they come to the end of the race. I mean, he's got half an hour on this set, well, just over half an hour to go on this set of tyres. And when it comes to the end, those guys are going to be struggling on their old tyres. He's going to have very fresh sets. So it'll be interesting to see as we come to the end of the race, just if Grasimatic can pull that back. I need to work out how to say that before the next race, mate. So
yeah,
note to self.
You also need to learn how to say Heke.
Is it Heke?
Heke, yeah.
Okay. Sven Heck sounds so much better though, but we'll say Heke. Okay.
Sven Heke. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at the best lap times now between the two of them. Between Wyatt and Garasimitz, and it's about 6/10. So, like we're saying, you need a second at least realistically to pass around here. So I don't even think with fresher tyres there will be enough of advantage there, as I believe that Stonefall is going up to lap Alexander. Yeah, it is. A massive pass at the moment from Stonefall.
Petro around the outside of Mole there. There's no way he's going to make that step, but he might get him on the back end on this. Oh, he just didn't keep the place. He's going to try the inside here. No, Mole's too clever for that one, so he shuts the door on that one and keeps the position. So Mole's still ahead of Peck here. Peck smells blood, and he has done for some time. I just hope this doesn't end in tears. So this is the fight for
further down
8th position.
We've actually got we've got Simão Marquez, Nemanja and Jack all going for it.
Simão's there in the
main straight.
The Corvette. That's Jack Camaletto there in the black Mercedes.
And that's Ralph in the party as well. Obviously, he is coming up to lap these guys, so we'll be a little bit frustrated as Nemanja bails out of that one. Nemanja is often up there with Arella, so he will be aware of the fact that he will just be wanting to go through. Again, this is this sort of cheekiness that I was on about, is these guys now really need to start think about moving out the way. Actually, particularly Simão might not be so confident with the blue flag situation. So
he's let Ralph through there, I think. Yeah, Ralph gets through there.
Yeah.
He's let Nemanja through as well, unfortunately, for Simão. So that's just experience thing, I think. That'll come back over the races to come.
Oh, and that's the kind of mistake that you make once. That's the kind of... It's like when we did the first ever GT3 league we did with rolling starts, and we were allowed to go when the leader crossed the line, and that meant that the first round at Spa, some of us that were in, firmly in double-digit positions on the start, were actually before the bus stop chicane when the leader went green. So those of us who were a bit more awake to what was going on were passing into that chicane left, right, and centre.
I think
those
Marquez
that were not
just
so
a
awake.
big accident there. Simão Marquez, we were just watching him. Yeah, he spun round and lost it on the crest of that hill. So that's him out of that battle. Yeah, and there we go. There's the ball bearings we were talking about earlier. So that's Simão, unfortunately, out of that battle. We just saw earlier Petter Peck's managed to get ahead of Mole there. So he's managed to make that stick. Just see if he can pull away from Mole now and catch up to the back of Jan Norman. One person we haven't really talked about Sorry, go on, mate.
Simão's actually got a double trouble because as well as those ball bearings, just put him right in the clutches of Mark Schilling, who's now about 3/10 behind him. And again, Mark will be smelling blood as they come into turn 13, but they've both gone wide. As by looks of it, Simão has made a little bit of a mistake on those slightly iffy tyres, and Mark was playing follow the leader just a touch.
Yeah, do you know, it's so easy to do that. You see it on TV in proper racing, it's so easy to follow the car in front into to the scene of the accident. So I can understand completely why that's happened. Schilling there just a bit too far back into turn 1 to make a move there. So Marquez has managed to recover, but he's lost a few places there. One person I was going to talk about, who we haven't spoken about much today, who's running a fantastic race up in 6th position, is the boss man of RRLeagues. Simon Fillingham in the Porsche there. Pretty lonely race for him at the moment. He's got a gap of 15 seconds to Metcalf, and 5 seconds to Metcalf and 3 seconds back to Moolman. But a pretty uneventful race as far as we can tell from Fillingham. He did say he wanted to get into the commentary box later for his post-race interview from the podium. Don't think that's going to happen just yet, but decent performance from Fillingham in 6th place there.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be enjoying this. You know, he helps, obviously does a lot to help put these series on. He does the briefing on most of them and all that sort of stuff. So he will be very appreciative of the fact, as obviously we entered this first round, not just the first round of this championship, but the first round of Almighty Autumn. So a lot of the staff are feeling a little bit ragged at this point. None more so than Simon, I'm sure. And he will be thankful that he has got a nice little bubble and he doesn't have to worry and he can just drive and do what he enjoys, as Samau has actually gone off again and let Schilling through. Same, or turn 10 again for Samau, so a little bit of a bogey corner for him at the moment.
So yeah, Fillingham running around in 6th, like you said, fairly quietly, not too much to trouble him at the moment, so good performance from Fillingham. So just to give you a rundown, you can see him on the left hand side. We'll just run you down there for you. Stoffmill out in front by 20 seconds back to Clive Britton, who's a further 9 seconds in front of Arella. 11 seconds back to David Dorr, so they're pretty much spread out at the front, with another 14 seconds back to Metcalf. Then you're with Fillingham here in 6th. He's got a gap of a couple of seconds over Moorman there. You can see him in the background in the orange BMW. Andre Moll and in fact Moll's, I don't know what's happened to Peck.
Moll's
he must
got
have had
yeah.
Peck must have had an incident, because we've got Moll here in 8th, and you can see that behind the car there that's Binnersley up into 9th place now. A good race, Rick. So there must have been something happened to Peck, because he's dropped back about 4 seconds behind this battle. He's just coming down the
Peck's car. It's not looking very pretty. So I imagine that might have been a little touch on a bit of a barrier somewhere. That would explain the 4 or 5 seconds he's dropped.
So Peck's about 4 seconds now behind the Moll Binnersley fight. Fabian Geld, who do you remember Binnersley was fighting with, he's 14 seconds back from Peck in this situation. And he's got 17 seconds on Dmitriev. Then we've got Vizar Vicoli, we were watching battling earlier over Wyatt. Wyatt is fighting with the Ford GT of Alexander. We spoke about him earlier with the new tyres. If he needs to make them work, he needs to start making a move up the field. He's currently in 15th place, but he needs to start making those tyres work for his advantage. Obviously, the more we go on, the people in front's tyres are going to worsen and worsen, so it's only going to get better for Alexander, but bearing in mind he was running in 4th at one point, he does need to start making some positions back to make that strategy pay off for him. Then we've got Nigel Wood, who is about 12 seconds behind this battle here for 14th. We've seen Manojlovic, Camaletto, Schilling and Marquez all battling.
Are you sure you've got Wood in 14th? Oh, sorry, 12th.
Wood's in 16th, mate. What did I say?
You said 12th, I think. Maybe. Anyway, 16th Wood. Manojlovic is...
we fought over Manojlovic, Camaletto, Schilling, Marquez. We've seen all those guys battling, and then there's a bit of a gap then back to Kokorek, Butler. Kennans is back there. He must have had a few incidents, because he was running up there.
Kennans had a drive-through penalty, didn't he?
You're right, he did, and Hindle did as well, didn't he? So those two have suffered for that. They're at the back of the field. Albertini, who we saw had that big accident at the start, he's running back there. Along with Suski, who also had some incidents. So that's the reason those guys are running at the back. The field's pretty much spread out, though, apart from this battle between Wyatt and Grasimitic. Should we just call him Alexander? Might be easier.
That's what I've been doing.
And the other battle is obviously the battle further up the field between Mol and Binnesley.
Visor has just binned it in. I can't actually tell what turn that is from there.
Is that just before the start-finish straight? It was, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think it is. Yeah. Yeah, it was just before the start-finish straight. Had a little bit of a round and round. So Wyatt and Alexander there promoted a little bit. As we enter the final 20 minutes of the race. So, like we said, everybody's made their mandatory pit stops. Pit window must be closed because the little icons have gone off the side of our screen.
Yep.
It's a good way of telling when the pit window is open and closed. And with the exception of Binnesley and Alexander, who are hunting down Mole and Wyatt respectively, quite big gaps, at least a second and a half or so. Moolman looks like he's pulling up on Fillingham just a touch, but I would be, barring incident or accident, these are likely to be the finishing positions we see now. Obviously,
I think in about 5 minutes you might see that Metcalf, Fillingham, Moolman battle get a little bit closer because those guys are concertinaing up a little bit for 5th place. So that should be an interesting one to watch in a couple of minutes' time. Meanwhile, Binnesley closing right up on Mole. These two have got a lot of respect for each other.
Moolman's just had a little bit of an incident, actually. So I believe he's dropped behind Fillingham.
Yeah, he was behind Fillingham. Was he?
He was behind Fillingham anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yes, of course he was.
Fillingham's 2.5 seconds behind Metcalf, and Moolman's about 2 seconds behind Fillingham. So
yep.
Those two, and they are catching Metcalf as well. So that should be an interesting battle to watch in a bit.
Sorry, I flicked to it and saw a random Porsche in the middle of it.
I see.
And that turns out to be that Schilling going around. So I think my brain got a little bit confused. It does that sometimes.
So you see, Moll and Binnesley got a lot of respect for each other. These two, they've known each other for some time. Both about the same kind of pace, but the way Binnesley's been cycling through the field today, he'll want to get past Moll if he can. You can see their best laps there, 1:59, 7s and 5s. So it's not a lot of pace difference between the two of them. But Binnesley has pulled up onto the back of him. He's obviously got the consistent race pace today. So just like Moolman did earlier, he'll want to get past. Sorry, not Moolman. Peck did earlier before he made that error. He'll want to get back onto, bless you, level terms with Mole. Peck actually has caught up these two again now. Bear in mind, it's about 4 seconds he lost it after that mistake.
Alexander actually had a go at. Sorry, crack on.
It's all right.
Alexander had a little bit of a crack at Wyatt at turn 1. Briefly got in front of him, but Mike got a better exit and has fended off the Estonian for the rest of the lap so far. But that battle is very much not done. There's actually now one that we didn't spot is Schilling perhaps a little bit slowed by being lapped. Now has Samau right on him going into turn 2. That's beef from Samau, and he makes that work. Schilling just had to back out of that. And yeah, really good move from Samau, actually, just taking the inside off of the nose of the Porsche and making that work, then down into turn 3, covering him off, and that'll be that. Like you said, I've just seen it flash up on my timing. Peck now joining that Binnesley-Mole battle.
Yeah, so 3 of them there battling over. In fact, Moolman. Oh, sorry, it's Moolman back to Moll, isn't it? Sorry, that's my bad. I was trying to get confused there. It's how Race Room does it, so that's better. So you've got Moll there in front of Binnesley there by a cigarette paper. And 2 cigarette papers behind them 2 is Petter Peck, making it a 3-way battle now for 8th position. We know Peck's got the pace to get past Mole, so these 2 will be desperate to try and make it through.
Sadly, it looks like Alexander's had a bit of an incident. he's invalidated this lap somewhere and is now 7.5 seconds behind Mike Wyatt. So maybe got a little bit greedy somewhere, and that battle needs to be over. Schilling just dropping back off Samau a little bit as well. So yeah, it's the trio you're watching, and then potentially that Metcalf, Filling and Moolman battle that will through over the next 15 minutes to a bit of a head.
That's still 2 seconds and a second between them, so that's going to get better. But this is where the action's happening at the moment. Mole in 8th, and Binnersley 9th there you're looking at, and Peck just behind them in 10th as they come down to turn 1. Peck's right on the tail of Binnersley here. If you're going to cut to the inside, he does. Is he going to make it stick? Oh, fair play. Binnersley leaves him some room there. Tries to cut back, doesn't make it, but Peck makes it stick. So that's Peck up past Binnersley. Rick will be wise just to stay behind Peck here because Peck's got the pace. If Rick can just sit on his tail as he cruises up to the back of Mole, he might be able to follow him through as those two lock horns. So he just needs to sit there wisely, Binnersley, and just allow Peck to get on the back of Mole. And you can see 12 seconds there from Moolman to Mole, so they're not going to get any further up the field than this, so they are fighting for as much as they're going to get here. 8th position is where they're going to be. And you may think, well, 8th, what they fight, that's a lot of points in this championship, and that will matter later on as they come to circuits that they possibly prefer a little bit more than this. Just looking further up the field, this is Dorr and Britton. You can see there the front of that car isn't looking very healthy. So Clive Britton's obviously had an off somewhere. As we see a load of dust there from someone. I don't know if that's gone off there. Oh no! Oh no. Just when it couldn't get any worse for Clive Britton, it gets worse. A spinning car there on the start-finish straight, and after Clive Britton had been running up in second and running a fantastic race, he's obviously had an off somewhere to lose that front end, and then obviously it's been taken out on the start-finish straight, and that's depressing. Clive Britton sails back to the pits, and that's just depressing. I feel for you, Clive. That was really, really bad for you there. I don't know who the spinning Porsche was. Not sure. Wasn't James Butler. Who else is driving a Porsche? Schilling. No, it's the green and white Porsche. Who is driving the green and white Porsche? There we go. Dmitriev. Not the guilty party there, but unfortunately after his spin, he was the one that seemed to go reversed into the back. I don't think there's another green and white Porsche. Filling was obviously in the black one there, so...
No, I think you're right. I think that was Dimitri there. That's classic Clive a little bit.
It was.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Obviously, a massive shame for Clive, like you said. The front end already gone on that BMW. The Irishman will not be happy about that, and as you said, is parked it, which I think is fair at that point. You've gotten this far into the race. He won't be chuffed. Put it that way. As we see,
It's James Butler there.
James Butler, yeah. That's the car, isn't it? Because it was the yeah, I think that was the car that's had the
Oh, was it?
Butler. Yeah, I think it's Butler. I think it was that
I
yellow.
thought it was
rather
green
than
and white one. I didn't realise it. It might have been that colour, the Alfa in the background. So yeah, Dimitri, I do apologise. I don't think that was you then. Now that must have been Butler that crashed into Clive Britton.
Yeah, because if you, sorry, just on that last turn, you can, and you'll see it coming through here as well. The back end looks like it's gone. That back end is very gone on that Porsche.
There's not much left of that. James Butler's very good at destroying Porsches, to be fair. Not really his fault there with Clive Britton. He's obviously lost it on the start-finish straight, spun back into the middle of the straight, and just taken Clive off.
It's a weird place to have an accident there for Butler. I can't, unless he's had a coming together with somebody, which I wouldn't know who.
Well, there's that little kink, isn't there, as they come onto the start-finish straight, whether he's just got out of shape there and he's slapped it down.
You wouldn't. I would be very, very impressed if you managed to keep attacking Slapper going that far down the straight. And actually, it's a really, really wide corner. That's why you see them only coming about halfway halfway across. They don't see them going all the way over to the exit curve. It's actually slower to go to the exit curve here on that turn. because of how wide that start finish line is. So you wouldn't. I can't think of any reason you would have a tank slapper there. I think what's happened there is he's made contact halfway down the straight with somebody.
I mean, Clive's car was battered anyway by the point he got there, so
yeah, absolutely.
He's obviously had an incident somewhere along the track. Whether that made Clive's car a little bit harder to drive, but he was literally just a passenger as the Porsche came across him on the start-finish straight there. And I've got to say that's painful to watch because he'd had a great race, Clive Britton, up to that point. Ran in second behind Stoffmill, but there's literally nothing he could do about that, and that's finished his race. So that's unfortunate. As we watch Mullman there
Mullman's
go
had a big
wide,
incident.
that's put the end of the pay to that challenge. So Fillingham's now got a free run now on Metcalf.
He will be, I think. I mean, Mullman was catching him there, and obviously they were both catching Greg. I think Mullman will be. Oh, sorry, Fillingham will potentially be buying a scratch card after tonight's race with that one.
Well, what it has done is it's now put Mullman back into the Peck Mole Binnersley. Peck's got past Andre Mole, Binnersley hasn't, so those two are still fighting. Peck's pulled about 2-second lead on Mole, but Mullman's now back into their grasp. So what was and I said it was a 3-way battle for 7th, is now a 4-way battle for 6th after Mullman's
error. It's 4-way battle for 5th.
Well, I don't think Fillingham.
No, Fillingham's
got he's away.
But sorry, Fillingham is up to 5th because of the Clive incident. Obviously, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, but we've got Mullman here, Peck behind him in that BMW, Mole behind him in the white and the basically M Sport colour ones. Binnersley then behind Mole in the gold.
Kennan's more awful time is he's just had a bit of a spin coming out of the coming out of turn 8, and has rejoined just in front of the Battle of the Mercedes with about 4/10 between Nigel Wood and Manja Manavlovic in the SLS and AMG respectively, down in 15th and 16th positions.
At least we're looking at Binnersley here, just on the back of Mole, just in front of them, as we said, is Petter Peck, and Mullman there is a further 2 seconds up the road as well. So Mullman looks like he's pulling away here after his error. So fortunately for him, he's managed to hold on to that. Another little spin round or anything like that, and he might have just lost 3 more places to Peck, Mole, and Binnersley. But fortunately, he's managed to stay ahead of those 3. Now he's got his car back together. He's obviously got pace. He was up running in 5th place there, so he's now managed to put a little bit of a gap out on Peck, who's pulled a similar gap out on Mole. Binnersley though is right up Mole's tail, as we can see here. As we come to that back marker, he nicely pulls out the way actually onto the grass to make sure he didn't get in the way there. Mole takes the inside line again there. Inside line for this one, but it does allow Binnersley to get a run in down the straight here, so we'll just stay with Mole. It's Binnersley there just to see if Binnersley can get a run in into turn 1. Binnersley pulls out. Is he going to make a move down there? No. Mole covers that one off, and they'll take the battle into turn 2. Just further up this road, Metcalf's still 2 seconds ahead of Fillingham, so all being well, Metcalf's covered that off. 6 minutes to go. It's probably about another 4 laps. You've got 3 laps definitely, and the lap they're on, so 3.5 to 4 laps to go. See Wood and Manojlovic back here battling over 15th position. Randy's had a really interesting race. That car has been around the block a few times. Just going to make a move on Wood here down the inside. Wood needs to cover that off. He does. Wood covers the inside line. Needs to keep it there though as he comes around the corner for the left-hander. And he does, and they're going to take it down the start-finish straight. Wide they go. Who's going to make it first into turn 1? Wood in the black Merc. Manojlovic in the Manfilter Merc on the right. Wood takes the turn in the lead. Is he going to hold it? He does. Good driving from Nigel Wood. Keeps it in 15th. Manojlovic right on his tail though. Has been for a couple of laps to be fair, but Wood's holding him off well. Wood, Manojlovic. Wood in the 2018 car. I think the oh, just gets brushed by Manojlovic there as he brakes late into that turn. Wood keeps it together though. We've seen, as we said before, the car's a little bit more stable under rear end shunts like that, so they don't go flying off, which is makes life better for the racing to watch. So Wood keeps it together. We're just going to pull back up to the Mullman, Peck, Mole, Binnersley fight because Peck's caught up now with Mullman. We've got now 5 seconds on Mole, so Peck's done some really good lap times here. He's in the 159s again. The only person who's currently in the 159s with him is Stoffmill did a 158.5 at some time for the last lap. David Dorr 159.8, and then Peck with a 159.2. So at the end of the race, Peck's got some really good pace here, and if you can get past Mullman, yeah, Fillingham's too far away up the road unfortunately, but if he can make the pass past Mullman and get up to 6th, sorry. Like I said, every championship point counts. Got Mole and Binnersley there, so Binnersley's still struggling to get past Mole. He'll be sick and tired of the back of that BMW by the time the end of the race comes round. Good driving from Mole though, good consistent racing. Wyatt and Alexander in the GT, these two have been at it for some time as well. This is about the time now where Alexander really needs to make those tyres pay, but I should imagine his tyres have seen better days now, but definitely Mike's have, that's for sure. They will be pretty much on the edge of their limit. And Wood is still ahead of Manojlovic as those two. Manojlovic just loses it on the exit of that turn there, so Wood's managed to pull out a second there, so hopefully that should see Manojlovic to the finish in that position if Wood can keep that together. Mullman and Peck are still at it. Mole and Binnersley are still at it. Two minutes to go. So this lap and one more should see the end of it. Oh, it looks like yes. Binnersley's binned it there into the gravel. Can he get it out before Fabian Gell comes round? He does. Oh, and he's lost it again in the gravel. He's lost it again in the gravel. Oh, it's disappointing for Binnersley there. He's had a great race up until that point. He just got caught in that kitty litter and it's destroyed his tyres. And that's the end of that battle with Mole. So Mole gets away with that. Mole's further up the field now. Big gap to Binnersley. Big gap to Petter Peck. So those two, that's all over and done with. That's Mike Wyatt. So that battle with Alexander Grasimic in the GT40, that's over. Just keep it on the straight and narrow, Mike. Get that shit off your tyres. That's it. Have a little bit of a weave. Get it off there. Just watch yourself into this corner. He's done that. So that's Wyatt. He's back there now in 14th place. You can see Manojlovic catching him up now. He's got past Nigel Wood there. So when I said those two had split up, well, they haven't. Whether that was a mistake from Wood or just good driving from Manojlovic, they've swapped position now, so it's all happening at the end here. But to be fair, you know what? It's 35 seconds to go. I really want to spend some time with Stoffmill up the front. He's had an impeccable race up front, but so much action going on in the field. We'll just stick with this one for a bit here. Peck, Moolman. Moolman needs to get it done now. Timer's out, so it's this lap. But here's your leader and probable winner, Mike Stoffmill. He's got a 40-second lead over Ralph Rella. Like I said, he's been impeccable today as always. Done, as far as we know, nothing wrong. Lap times have been consistently under 2 minutes. Best lap, he's got the fastest lap of the day in the 1:57. He's the only person to do that today. A 1:57.984. So pole, fastest lap, and he's just coming around the final few turns now to take what will be the first win in the GT Masters Championship from RRLeagues. Come on guys, don't get in his way. Mike Stoffmill is going to get all 3 cherries. Pole, fastest lap and race victory just comes round there. He's got this turn over the bridge, the hill, the tunnel. We'll come down here. There's a little kink into the big long left-hander. Round, round he goes, past the pit lane entrance, onto the start finish straight. Congratulations Mike Stoffmill, impeccable. As I said, nothing other to say than that. Fantastic racing as always. Stoffmill takes the win. Go back to Arella, just coming through there for second. He's under no pressure. Dorr in third. Metcalf fourth, who's got Fillingham just behind him. I don't think he's got about a second and a half. That's not going to happen. But the battle we want to watch here is Moolman and Peck. Peck's still not able to get past Moolman. But here's Dorr, Arella, just coming around the final turn. Good race from Arella today. I think he had one mistake earlier on we saw. But that's enough to take him through into second place. Good racing there from Arella. Just jump back to Moolman and Peck. Yep, Peck just struggling to get past there. David Dorr there finishes in third. Good racing from Dorr. Metcalf. Fillingham is just behind him. He's managed to get down to a second, but it's just not going to be enough. Metcalf comes through for fourth place. Fillingham just behind him there in the Porsche with the stripe for fifth. Moolman just going round onto start finish straight. Peck's right up his rear bumper, but it's not going to be enough as they come past the start finish straight. Moolman does indeed take sixth place. Peck in seventh. Andre Mole there just coming through for eighth. Great race from Andre Mole. Completely out, no trouble whatsoever. Very nice and consistent there in eighth. And then there's a huge gap back to Rick Binnersley, who we saw spin off earlier. He's still trundling round. There we go. I don't know if he's still racing or if that's the end of his lap. I think he's still racing. Hasn't been lapped yet. So that's still going on. Oh, there we go. Race ends. So there's your results for you for race one. Mike Stoffmill, fastest lap of the race, a 1:57.984, as we said, only burst into the 57s. Ralph Rella there for Team 77, finishes second. David Dorr finishes third. Greg Metcalf there finishes fourth. Good race from Greg. Simon Fillingham in fifth. Close there to Metcalf at the end. Moolman and Peck, you saw that intense battle them two had. Peck still couldn't get past Moolman at the end. Mole, Binnersley, who had that really good effort there, but just lost so much time in that spin at the end. Fabian Geld, Dmitry Dmitriev, Alexander Grasimitic, Vikoli Namolovic, Wyatt Wood, Camaletto, Marquez, Schilling, I think Zorka Korek there at the end as well. So great racing there from all the guys on the GT3 Masters. I think that was an impressive first race, impressive display from Mike Stoffmill. Literally nothing there that was anything other than we know Stoffmill to be. Just a fantastic drive. I do feel sorry though for Clive Britton. We will try and get him into the commentary box if possible, just to try and work out what happened there. But that was whatever happened to give him the damage to the car. We saw him; he was running in second. When we saw him, he was running in fourth. And as he came down the start-finish straight there with the damaged car, it looked like James Butler just for some reason lost it on the straight. If that was an incident there, spun in front of him and just finished the race off. So do feel there for that one, but yeah, there we go. So as we said earlier, we've got the Audi TT Championship this Sunday, so please stay with RRLeagues if you can. Join us for that one on Sunday evening, and then next Wednesday I believe it's the GT4 race, GT4 Championship in Assetto Corsa Competizione. The TT race you can watch myself, Martin Hughes, and Ethan Kearney, my co-commentator, who's unfortunately had some technical difficulties. He's not with us anymore in the stream, so we'll both be racing in the TT Championship. So if you want to see just how awful we are at racing, and as awful as we are at commentary, you can see which one we are best at. So join us for the TT. I'll be racing in the GT4 race as well. Ethan's not doing that one, but please join us, I say, Sunday evening. RRLeagues for the TT Championship. But I'll leave you today, obviously, from Slovakia Ring, the GT3 Championship, and fantastic race from our resident alien, Mike Stoffmill, once again. He leads the championship going into race 2, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time for that race. So thanks again for watching. Have a great rest of the week, what's left of it, and we'll see you next time. Thanks again for watching. Cheers.